So my oneness with all of you, my prostrations to my gurus, and to all as the same consciousness abiding in one reality. So what is today's topic of discussion? Is there any question from anybody today?
Baba,
Priyanka, should I ask? Yes, say.
So, can I ask, like, when we read about the history, like Guru Padmasambhava while he was in Kathmandu, so we listen to the stories like he subdued Dakshina Kali, subdued like many deities with Vajra Kilaya, and then he also subdued Pashupatinath. So what is the significance of this? What's the meaning of it?
Deities are created by sages, by rishis. Rishis have created the deities. Deities are like software apps to get into certain perfections. But human beings use these deities for their personal and selfish mundane motives. More people use them for mundane motives, more the deities start getting corrupted. So what is the corruption? The corruption is like somebody is doing a witchcraft and propitiating to a deity to make the witchcraft effective. And if the deity is programmed in that way and helps the person, that negativity will also take over the deity. Thus, deities also in certain times get corrupted. So when a powerful master comes, the responsibility of a powerful tantric master is to rejuvenate the deities which have lost their powers, or recreate deities, or end up these apps which have got highly virus affected or which needs to be ended up. Thus, if you see from the start of Indian pantheon, there are many deities who are there. Today, those deities have no temples, no propitiation, no pujas, because they have got lost. Human beings make these deities, powerful people make these deities. That is how, before you worship a deity, you worship there is a chanda. Chanda means rhythm, mantra, kilaya, and then the deity. So the chanda is the rhythm of the rishi's pulsation, from where he or she has created the deity. Mantra is bringing it into sound frequency. Kilaya is to apply it into form, and from there the form of the deity or the completion of the deity comes. You will also see how during the pujas, human beings make a statue, then the priest empowers it into life. So what from the priest empowers the deity into life? From the priest's own being, that pure consciousness which is residing in all of us. And from there, we believe that the statue is alive, or things happen proving us that the statue is alive. This is how a deity is created. So it is from the human being it is created. Brahmavid, one who is the embodiment of the pure consciousness, can create deities. So when Padmasambhava went to Tibet, the king asked, which god do you worship? Padmasambhava started laughing. He laughed so much that the king felt insulted. So the king showed his little power to say, why are you laughing at me? So he said, because I have not come here to care for any barbarian king. I'm laughing because you are asking me which deity do I propitiate. In the daytime, I make 10,000 deities, and in nighttime, I kill them. So he's such a perfect yogi and a Mahasiddha and accomplished being a master, that he can create deities and end up deities. If you read the text of Bhuta Damara Tantra, you will see by the name of Mahakala, you can kill all the deities. So Mahakala is made up of such consciousness which can end up everything, including all other deities. So that's when Padmasambhava went to certain places, and the religious people of those places didn't accept his wisdom or troubled him with the help of the deities. He controlled those deities, so the people who are propitiating to those deities are controlled by itself. This happens. Tantric masters all do like that. Not all. Those who have transcended or attained nirvana, they have that power to control even the gods and goddesses. Thus, Lord Buddha is called Deva Manava Shasta, or one who is the punisher of human beings as well as the gods. If the gods do some wrong, he will be punished. There's a story of Padmasambhava. When he was in Tibet, his own friend, who was the prince of Nepal, he is also a great Mahasiddha called Vajrayana. I think you have heard this name. He's written Tara Stuti. The Stuti of 21 Taras is very famous. Vajrayana became very, and in name of Vajrayana, there are many texts. And Vajrayana is also iconographed or painted with 3 eyes, like he attained the state of Shivahood. So Vajrayana felt competitive and wanted to suck out by tantric power all the powers of Swayambhunath or Padmasambhava. We call him Swayambhunath. He is the guru of Matsyendranath. And that time, Vajrayana applied Pashupati, the deity, to suck out all the powers of Swayambhunath. And the story says that Swayambhunath swallowed up Pashupati. So what do that mean? It is like the story of Indra once threw his Vajra, his weapon, against Rishi Atri Muni, who was father of Dattatreya. And his own weapon got rebounded against him. And the Vajra was going to kill Indra himself, and Indra was running. The Indra went to Shiva and said, "Save me, my Vajra is trying to kill me." Shiva said, "You played a fool with an absolute accomplished master. This is your punishment." So ultimately, Indra came and hold the feet of Atri Muni, and then by Atri controlled the weapon. So in Tantra, many people use powerful magics or black magics, they call generally weapons, against people. But they don't know that if they use it against highly accomplished masters, it will get rebounded on themselves and they will get punished. They will get same effect that they're trying to do it on the person. Thus, Vajrayana, being the prince of Nepal and his Ishta Devata or deity was Pashupati, he was very afraid that how Padmasambhava swallowed up Pashupati. And then he prayed to Tara, to Ugra Tara, and asked Ugra Tara to destroy Padmasambhava. So Ugra Tara said, "Padmasambhava is inseparable wisdom from me. I am the wisdom and he is the embodiment of that wisdom." Thus Tara punished Vajrayana, and Vajrayana was put by the king of Tibet in exile to a place of Mongolia where there was no water. So when he was dying in thirst, he asked Ma Ugratara to give him some water to drink and satisfy, to drink to live. And Tara said that you have done such a heinous crime, you have worked your power against the Buddha, against the absolutely accomplished being. So you have to go through this suffering. So you, rather than praying to me, pray to Padmasambhava. If Padmasambhava is highly compassionate and will forgive you. So then Vajrayana prayed to Swayambhunath. The Swayambhunath appeared, and Vajrayana saw that Padmasambhava separated its Panchaskandha, 5 elements, into 5 deities. These 5 deities are the 5 Shivas: Pashupati, Virupaksha, Tatpurusha, Aghora, and Sadyajat. So Vairochana on his knees asked, what is this? What does this mean? So Shambhunath said, you are an accomplished Tantra yogi, but you do not know that these deities have their source in pure consciousness. All these deities are also perishable someday. It's all from human consciousness as developed by sages. So you take refuge of the deities, and deities take refuge of me. It happens to many such masters when they come, and others, like very powerful masters, and somebody is doing a witchcraft against, will get it back. The master may not even know what's that. In my life, I've seen like that. So if a person attains that absolute pure consciousness state, he is above all deities. This is why Kabir Das ji once said that if Guru and God, Krishna, Guru and Govind, Krishna or God, simultaneously comes together, comes to me, whom I should propitiate first. And then he said, I will propitiate to my Guru, because only by the grace of the Guru I have been able to see the God. So Guru is the highest. That is how we follow and believe. The real aspect of a yogi is not under anybody, not under even God. There is a story of Baba Nityananda of Ganeshpuri near Bombay, that one day Baba was coming from the cremation ground to the Shiva temple, and he was shouting at somebody, don't disturb me, don't disturb me, don't disturb me. And when he was at the crossroad of the tree, he took his staff and there was a stone. On that stone, he made a big bang and said, I am asking you to stop following me. And you are still following me? No sooner he has banged the stone, people that time knew that he was a madman. They saw that on the stone, Vajra Kali has manifested. Vajra Kali was following Baba, and Baba was very disturbed. He wanted to be alone. So such are great avadhutas and masters. Okay. So Priyanka, what is today your question? Until and unless you are given attention. I have another one here called Uti. She has also the same syndrome called attention deficiency syndrome. So
Baba,
do you
no
have any
question today?
Okay. Okay then.
So, questions only after I meet you.
Okay. Anybody has any more questions? Acha, Leo Rosen. What is spirituality? What does the term spirit pointing to exactly? How is someone who is spiritual different from someone who does not practice spirituality? Yes, first, to explain spirituality, the term spirit needs to be described. You go to a wine shop, they will explain you what is spirit. They even will sell it to you. If you want a bottle of spirit, But why I said this? Just not to make fun of it. The term spirit connected to alcohol is the alchemists named alcohol as spirit. Why? Okay. Our body, our life system, is running on alcohol. Now you may ask for a statutory warning. Alcohol is injurious to health. But that you are surviving is because of alcohol. Your body is also a chemistry. And in this chemistry, the supreme chemical that is running your total system is alcohol. According to Yoga Shastra, texts of yoga, whatever we eat, 1/10 of its essence, 1/10 of its gist goes to our blood. 1/10 the gist of blood goes to our flesh. 1/10 the gist of our flesh goes to bones. 1/10 of the gist of the bones goes to marrow. 1/10 of the essence or gist of the bone marrow goes to make our brain, and 1/10 of the brain essence makes the alcohol, which is called Brahma Sura. Sura means alcohol. Brahma means ever expanding. So that alcohol in you holds chemically your pure consciousness. It's quite something. Now you will understand why Tantrikas offer alcohol as the main offering and call it tarpana. Because it is symbolic of our brain alcohol. In brain, 5 kinds of alcohols are produced. And these 5 kind of alcohols have characters, medicinal characters, similar to whiskey, rum, vodka, grapes brandy, and mead made from honey. The Sanskrit names are poishti, that is made from pishtak. Pishtak is job. Barley. So that is akin to whiskey. Alcohol produced from molasses or jaggery. Alcohol produced from roots, mulikan. From jaggery, it's called goiri, gur. Gur means molasses, from molasses. Then it's called mulikan, means produced from mulika or roots. Any alcohol produced from roots or bulbs. 4th is drakshi. Draksha is grapes. So that is made from grapes, which is brandy. And 5th is called madhi, means that has been produced from honey. So these are basically the Ayurvedic names given in Sanskrit to the medicinal property that works on us. So the whiskey works on us in physical health. The rum, or prepared from molasses, gauri, works on our emotions. You know how the pirates drink rum and get over emotional. Then the mulika, or you can call gin or vodka, that is produced from valves or roots, connect or energize our mind. The drakshi, or the brandy, energizes our intellect or judgmental state, and madhi, or mead, or honey wine, energizes our self identity. Now, all these equivalents having same quality has been found in human brain. That is why when a tantric mandala is worshipped, in the four doors of the mandala, in the four corners of the four doors of the mandala, we will put four different wines, and in the center one, symbolic of the 5 alcohols produced by brain. So these alcohols are the 5 spirits of human life. So what is the spirit? The physical energy, the emotional or vital energy, the psychological or mental energy, thinking energy, then the judgmental energy, and finally the self energy. So spirit is our energy system. I went through alchemy to describe it, so that those who enjoy spirits in bottles will also enjoy it, with a holy dictum connected to it. A big part of Tantra is alchemy. The entire process of Kriya Yoga is moving these alcohols from one part of the body to another part of the body, sourcing from the brain. Nowadays, you know, there is a treatment for pain and aches and spinal problems called cranial sacral therapy. So from the cranial to the sacral, through the spine, these droplets of the wine is flowing, and if these droplets is flowing, its rhythm is disturbed, then we have neurological disbalance. Now you understand how the alcohol is the spirit. Entire Kriya Yoga is working out on the glands holding these alcohols as the mother chemical coming from the brain, passing through the 2 autonomous nervous system and coming to the glands in the front, in all over the body. But these glands are producing enzymes, hormones, all the glandular fluids, the 36 glandular fluids according to yogic alchemy. And they're flowing through our bloodstream also. That is responsible for our energy or our behaviors. That is how, by controlling these fluids, increasing or decreasing, you can increase or decrease certain spirits in you. Certain energies in you, like sexual energy, is standing on testosterone. By the Vajrayana practice, you are transmuting this sexual fluid, you are sucking the alcohol from the fluid, from the glands it is produced, turning it upstream to the spine and taking it back to the head. That is called by the yogis in their dohas, flowing the river upstream. I have many Vajrayana sadhakas and sadhikas here, those who are my disciples, and they are ordained into that practice. So that is how every time you send back the sexual alcohol from your produced in your body, from your sexual glands, and take it back to the spine and up to the head, you get high energy. And that energy reaches you to a perfect concentration that can make a yoga in a moment turn into a meditation or dhyana, and the contemplation of the dhyana turns into samadhi. So why this practices are done? Generally, our enzymes and hormones are holding our desires. So if we want to not to flow out our entire spirit into desires, we have to take it back from where it came. So that process will control our desires, sex, greed, anger, everything. So this is how the real purification happens, rather than abstaining or suppressing yourself. Yes, Priyanka has written ojas. So ojas is the Sanskrit word for that energy that's inside you. So thus, spirituality somebody is asking VS, how does barley work? Barley, okay. Barley's alcohol produced from barley is working on rejuvenating our body cells. That is why many doctors advise to have a peg of whiskey every day. That will keep your heart okay, your entire system okay. But these are like medicines. In Tantra, the application is medicinal, not addictive. But many people, in name of Tantra, go into addiction with these things, which is actually prohibited. But this is a sidetracked question. So spirituality is the science of working with our energy that connects us with the supreme energy or the supreme spirit, in Bible said to be the Holy Spirit. So the spiritual practices are practices that takes you to develop your limited energy into supreme energy. You cannot develop the supreme energy. You can develop your personal energy and energies and submerge when it will become one with the supreme energy. That is said to be God realization or self-realization. Thus, spirituality is God realization, self-realization. But in English, the word spirituality also have a dark connotation. This I came across in my life working as an academic scholar. Celtic druids or Wiccans, they used to work with spirits. In this sense, the spirit is like soul of a deceased, or ghosts. Ghost is another name of spirit. That is why Bible called it Holy Ghost. So they used to control the spirits or ghosts and make them slaves and make dark magics. This has been termed as spirituality in Middle English. So when you ask me what is spirituality, I have to say, also in Middle English, spirituality means working with ghosts and spirits. So this is all about spirituality. Any other question? From anybody else? Because you know, if you ask me a question, I can start answering. When there is a quest, the answer comes from the quest.
Baba,
When there is no quest, there is no answer.
Baba,
Achha, one question has come. I answered it, then you write down your question. Saidiak has asked, Baba, can you speak about the karma of healing? Somebody has asked also to put some light on shamanism. I will speak about it. Karma, the doctrine of karma, is every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Reaction is always not bad. There can be good reactions also. There can be bad reactions also. Good or bad is justified by it suits you or doesn't suit you. There is basically nothing good and nothing bad except human perversion. But anything good or bad is relative to situation, person, capacity, procedure, effect, all these things. So, Saidiak, what do you mean by karma of healing? Is it a good karma or bad karma? That or how to heal? What you are asking?
I think my question is, as healers, when we try to help people, what comes back to us from the consequence of those actions? Does it make a difference that we heal as professionals or we heal as vocation, as a vocation? Does it make any difference at all? Yeah.
What happens when we heal others, the satisfaction that we get of healing somebody in us adds to our psychological good karmas, let us say good karmas, because it's an act of compassion. Of course, don't do vocational and don't take money for it. That adds to their higher karmic values. And when we do by professional also, curing somebody from some suffering or disease is professional or vocational, is a noble job. So in that noble job, the bliss you get adds to your blissful nature, adds to your compassionate nature, and from there, multiple reactions may come. It may proceed you towards the spiritual path. It may make you a man with a bigger heart. It may give you popularity, very, very mundane view. It will give you popularity. It will give you money, many things. Friendliness with people. But also, either yes, sometimes to ego, it also goes. Ego is always the Satan, which is waiting to eat up everything good. And when we heal people, there are two different methods. One method is the sympathetic method. In the sympathetic method, you don't get reactions. But if you use empathetic method, then you will get the reactions of the disease apart in you. Because that is the method. Like you take the dark energy of the patient in you, burn it, recycle it, turn it in your own yogic process, and transmute it into healing energy and return it back to the person. But if a day you do 10, 12 patients, then you have no time to heal yourself. Because you need to recycle it, burn it out. And then also tiredness comes. So then you feel, okay, today I will do, tomorrow I will. So that sets down, that dark energy sets down in you and starts paralyzing your system. You can see how sick I have become. It's all because of that. So in healing, the physical effect may be dangerous. If you know how to prepare yourself or check yourself from that, you will save yourself. Mental effect also comes less. Mental effect is always positive, but negative physical effects can come. But these effects, we will not call it karma, because when you are healing, it's a good motive. Karma is very much connected to motive. Remember that. Ultimately, it is screened through motivation. So these troubles are there. Achha. Somebody is asking, on shamanism. shamanism is the process of nature worship. What is nature worship? Seeing everything of nature as sacred, respecting nature, which is very, very, very essential for all human beings to have a better life on earth. So I respect shamanism very highly in this matter. But entire shamanism lacks in one thing. There is great healing in shamanism. There is great spiritualism in shamanism. But there is no concept of salvation or liberation in shamanism. At least I have not come across yet. I won't say there is no, I do not know. But I have not come across. I'm a member of the International Shaman Conference. But I've talked with them. There's no sense of salvation. Thus, even after death, the shamans remain in their spirits. Very few have reincarnations. There are reincarnations, but those who are shaman, witch doctors, or sorcerers, custodians of certain places, they cannot leave that place. Janima will know, remember Janima, when I first went to the Nimben rocks.
I didn't go.
Oh, you didn't go that time. Second time when I went, Jay was with me. So Jay is here also. Jay, remember how many spirits were there by night? And how the custodian was possessed. And he was saying that all my grandmothers have come and asking me what these people are doing here. It's a holy place. So I told them, okay, they're friends. I said, no, call them. I will talk to them. So when I called them, nobody came. Because they were not understanding my energy. Because they don't understand the energy of salvation. They don't understand moksha, liberation, all these things. Enlightenment, they don't understand. That enlightenment is to be perfectly balanced with nature, which is great. Our entire Hatha Yoga is standing on shamanism. It's in your body. You are finding shamanism from Hatha Yoga. That is why all the asanas and the pranayamas are named after some animals or plants or flowers. So, how you have evolved as a human being from earth to know that is the essential wisdom of shamanism. Now, the next question was, today questions are coming from different subjects altogether. They're very scattered. Baba are the 10 San Dulces is saying, Baba are the Tara of Dus Mhavidya, Tara Peeth, and of Vajrayana like green Tara, the same deities. Yes, Tara is overall the same deity. In Hindu system, Tara is a deity who is part and parcel of Brahman. But in Buddhism, Tara supersedes Brahman and is the embodiment of shunyata or voidness. Brahman, or the great expanse, or the great cosmic energy, is also standing or growing in the background of shunyata or voidness or void energy. As the sun with all its glory also is in the sky, just like that. So in Dasha Mahavidya, Tara is essentially a Buddhist deity. It has been incorporated later into Hinduism during the medieval times of the Smarta era. Mythologies have written to prove Tara is as old as the Vedas and is a Vedic deity. No, in its real nature, Tara is not a Vedic deity, and Tara first came in the metaphor of Buddha. Buddha used to explain the Buddha wisdom as Tara. Buddha meant to say that every realizer of that voidness is a Buddha and a Bodhisattva who is coursing in the perfection of voidness. Just experiencing voidness is not enough. You have to go into the perfection of it. The voidness is the great balance between the mundane and the spiritual. Voidness is making the mundane and the spiritual the same. So voidness is the neutral state of existence in between the inner and the outer of a human mind. Even in physics, the zero energy state is the highest state of potential energy from where kinetic energy and mass has been produced. In the same way, Tara has become, in one part, Shiva Shakti. That is why in Ekabinshati Tara Stuti, Buddhist Tara Stuti, where at the 21 hymns of Tara has been said, so Tara has been called Shiva Shakti Samannite. The idiotic Buddhists do not understand this. If they hear Shiva Shakti, immediately they will make it Hindu. In Tantra, there is nothing called Hindu in real sense, because the philosophy of Tantra is not a Vedic philosophy. How can a non-Vedic philosophy be called Hindu? I have no idea. Because the term Hindu is connected to Vedism. The smartas or the priest class in the medieval age, after politically destroying Buddhism in India, made new texts taking from the Buddhists the great sciences and spiritual sciences. They wrote the Puranas and Upapuranas and made funny stories with almost no history. Mythology. To control the common idiotic people and make-believe things, by make-believe things. That is the time they have made these stories. In Tantra, there is no story with any deity. There are only metaphors. Because each deity is a program of the Supreme Consciousness in a part and parcel of it. So in Tantra, there is no story that Kali, Parvati got angry and became Kali. In Tantra, the meaning of Kali is in the name of Kali. Kal, Kalayati, Kali. Kal means time. One who eats up time is Kali. Tara means Tarate Tara. One who saves. One, the mother who saves, is Tara. So Buddha is saying that the wisdom of the voidness saves all. To come out of the ocean of suffering, one needs to awaken the wisdom which is already present in, but not known to me. So you have to discover that energy through yoga and samadhi. Rashi is asking, what is the time period? It's after the Pala dynasty ended and the Sena dynasty took over entire India, butchered the Buddhists and named it after the Muslims. 40 to 60 years before the first Muslim attack in India, Nalanda, Vaishali, Vikramshila, these Buddhist monasteries were put into fire by the Smartas. Smartas means those who followed the Smriti Shastra of the Vedas. The history of it has been mentioned, well mentioned. In documents of Atisha Dipankara, who saved the last tantric and yoga texts from these libraries, and on 16 horses took them to Tibet. And from that time, Tibet was locked from the outsiders.
So what century is this, Baba?
What?
What century is this, 8th or 12th century? The
It
Pala
is
dynasty.
After 10th century.
10th century.
After 10th century, all the 84 siddhas are within 10th century.
So this is before the Tantra started getting recorded.
It is after, after the Tantric era.
That was around
Yeah.
8th century.
Tantra started from 2nd century to 1st century BC by Nagarjuna.
Right. And it started getting institutionalized when? Since then.
What?
It started getting institutionalized then.
Tantra started getting broadly institutionalized under Padmasambhava.
Okay.
Prior to that, also, it started getting institutionalized, but was not so prominent because it was called a secret society. It was institutionalized, but not open to all. Though texts of Tantra were matter of studies in Nalanda University and Vikramshila University, that has been recorded in the Buddhist history. It is said Buddha gave the first teachings of Tantra, but it was an oral tradition. It has not been written down. He shared it with only 4 disciples, one king from South India, Sunyata, Buddha's friend, companion, and caretaker, Subhuti, Sunyata's elder brother, Muchalindo, who was later called the elder or the highest among all the bodhisattvas, called Subhuti. In Pragyaparamita Ashtashahastika, Buddha has called him the embodiment of 10,000 Buddhas. And Mahakashyapa, another bodhisattva, prominent bodhisattva of Mahayana. These are only 4 people who listened to Buddha's sermon on Tantra in Srila Kuta. Srila Kuta is Sri Parvatam in Andhra Pradesh. So Nagarjuna first wrote the textbook of Tantra called Gujja Samadhi, where he explained the way Buddha transmuted the negatives as the attacks of Mara on him into his stages of Nirvana That is Tantra. So the final practice of Buddha is Tantra, according to Nagarjuna. According to my view about Tantra is, it is the highest psychotherapy in the path of enlightenment. Because understanding Buddhist enlightenment or Tantric enlightenment is absolutely psychotherapy till you unfurl the Buddha mind. When you have reached the Buddha mind, Shiva mind, or Jina mind, the last part of this psychotherapy, which is also called part of Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma is the text of Buddhist psychology. The final part of psychology is Tantra. Priyanka is asking that I last time spoke about crystal baby. Aren't all babies special? It's not a question of special. Special is with the quality. Crystal babies are born who are free from conditioning. So crystal babies are those who are enlightened beings of the past, or an enlightened being created a spirit and gave it a birth. So they are called the crystal babies. This is a very modern term, a new age term. To speak English, a lot of new age terms are used. If we speak in Bengali or Sanskrit, it will be more the ancient words are respected. In English, more and more modern words are respected. So there are many definitions of the same word. One who asked me the question, yes, you can see Shubhamoy, who is a historical guide and a field research guide also, and is a master's in history. As mentioned, Nalanda was destroyed by 3 Tirthikas. Tirthikas means Brahmins who burnt the Ratnadadi library. The Ratnadadi library was burned by them. Achha. San Dulces, you have said, Tarapit was consecrated by Vasistha during the ancient Buddha who taught him about Tara in China. Is the story made up? In Rudrayamala and Brahmayamala Tantra, it has been met, not Tantra, Brahmayamala, which is the Agama text. In the Buddha Khanda, there is a part of Buddha's life. And what do you mean by ancient Buddha? It was by the same Gautama Buddha or Sakyamuni Buddha. Sakyamuni Buddha was taken to a congregation of spiritual beings in Tantra arranged by the Emperor of China. Buddha's main practical support source, or as we call Bhandari, or Buddha's monasteries, main donor and protector of Buddhism was Bimbisar, King Bimbisara, and whose palace and fort was near to Nalanda. Still the ruins are there. And he took Buddha to China. because he was a king of them. King Bimbisara was friend of the emperor of China that time, because he was a silk route. You have asked me a question, I am answering you. Have the patience to listen to it. If you don't have the patience, don't ask a question. So that time, Bimbisara took Buddha to China. We do not know. If you read the description, I've read it. You read it yourself, you will know that Buddha was found by Vasistha in indulging in tantric rites and rituals in China. So of course, that time, Tantra or the essentials of Tantra were practiced in China. That's of course true. That is why the first part of Tantra is known as Chinachara, or the practice of China. Buddha brought that practice into India when he came back as a secret oral tradition. Now, just you have heard from somebody that it is Vasistha. Read the text yourself, you will know. This Vasistha has a name called Vamo Devacharya Vasistha, who is one of the lineage holders of the Adi Vasistha. He is not the Adi Vasistha at all. His monastery or place is near Kamakhya. I have visited it. That is called Vamo Devacharya Vasistha's Peetha. This Vamo Devacharya Vasistha was meditating in Kamakhya on Bhagavati, Tara. And while he was meditating on Bhagavati Tara, he lost his energy 3 times. He failed 3 times. Then he got angry and cursed on the Tara mantra. At that time, goddess, the great goddess, took the form of wrathful Chamunda and kicked him down into a very dirty place in Kamakhya, where all the night soils of Kamakhya will be collecting, which is the big drain. So while he was sinking in this big drain called Khet, Vasistha prayed to his Ishta Devata, who is Brahma, and Brahma appeared to him and said that I cannot save you from Ma. You have done wrong to Ma. Ma is much greater than me. Only Lord Buddha can save you from your sin. If you take refuge of him, he is now teaching. He's in a discourse in China. So Vasistha went to China, found Buddha there, saw him practicing tantric rites and rituals, and he had doubts and questions against it. When Tara spoke to him that he will be punished again, because I am not a Vedic deity and not under any Vedic dictum. So if you want to follow me and accomplish in my spiritual path, you have to take initiation from Buddha. In that text, Buddha has been mentioned as Janardana, which means one who is compassionate to all beings. Janardana is also an epithet of Lord Vishnu. So somebody will interpret it as Buddha as avatar of Vishnu. Somebody will interpret it as the great compassionate being. It's upon people's particular interpretations. So this story has put Tara sadhana as Buddhist Tara sadhana, and Lord Buddha came all the way to Bengal Tarapeeth, and under a simul tree put the germ of para accomplishment. And there, sitting there, Vamadevacharya Vasistha attained Parasiddhi. This Vamadevacharya Vasistha should not be idiotically asserted as a Ramachandra's Guru Vasistha. No, this is not the same Vasistha. It's a very idiotic speculation. But this may be the start of Tantra through Buddha into the Hindu tradition. But it is also initiated by Buddha. Then another question is there. Abhilash Paul said, can you tell us a bit about shunyata? How can we empty our minds to experience the primordial state of voidness? I'm almost every day speaking on this, Abhilash. Shunyata is not emptying. It's a very wrong understanding of shunyata. It's a nihilistic Hindu interpretation of shunyata. Voidness is not emptying or empty, though many English translators have termed voidness as emptiness, but this is wrong. I have spoken before it. I think others have listened to it also. That emptying is a verb. Empty is a verb noun, which is a kind of adjective also, adnoun. To empty is the verb. So in the sense of emptying, there is a sense that there was something and I moved it. What did you move it? From the universe, have you moved it away? So if you speak of empty or emptying, it's for a specific space, limited space. How can you empty the whole universe? Tell me. Is there any sense working, emptying the whole universe? So you are displacing things. So the psychology behind the thought of emptying is displacing things, isn't it? No, Buddhists do not say it at all like that. Buddha didn't say it at all like that. The understanding of the void, voidness, I'm coming later. The void is pure consciousness. How is that pure consciousness? Is neutral. How is it neutral? There is no action and reaction there. Why there is no action and reaction there? Physics will call it zero. That is why the primordial cosmic energy is called zero energy state. So Adyashakti is the primordial term in Sanskrit for primordial energy that the modern quantum scientists are using. Even Stephen Hawking has used the same term. Roger Penrose has used the same term. So that is the substratum consciousness of the entire universe. So if you reach that consciousness through your psychic consciousness, you have reached the void, which is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Bas. So when you again and again practice Nirvikalpa Samadhi, go there and come back, go there and come back, go there and come back, one day your memory settles down with the experience of void. So from that day, you start seeing differences as not important. It's like number 1 to number 9, which make enter mathematics, is standing each number on the essential value of 0. Why? Plus minus 1 is equal to 0. Plus minus 2 is equal to 0. Plus minus 3 is equal to 0. Plus minus 4 is equal to 0. Plus minus 5 is equal to 0. Plus minus 6 is equal to 0. Plus minus 7 is equal to 0. Plus minus 8 is equal to 0. Plus minus 9 is equal to 0. Now, if I ask you a question, now where did you get the numbers from? Is mathematics contradictory science? Answer me.
We kind of imagined it.
No. We didn't imagine it. Yes, our mind made it. But mind made with differences. This is one piece, so it is one. If there are 2 same pieces, we will say 2. 3, we will call it 3. So they're reality. But what 0 is saying, that every object, every name and form essentially is together plus and minus, positive and negative sides of it. And thus, it exists as a neutral state of consciousness. This is Nagarjuna's Pratitya Samutpat, that the tree has come from a seed and the seed has come from a tree. This is Naya. So the tree and the seed both are essentially the same. But the quality of tree and the quality of seed is not same. A seed does not have branches, roots, fruits, flowers. But a seed sowed in the ground will make a tree that will have these differences. So we are all calculating on differences. But where from these differences are coming, that is the potential energy, the substratum consciousness is void, is neutral. This plus minus 1 is equal to 0. So on this mathematical deduction, Pythagoras from Greece came to India to learn 0. And when he's writing his textbook of geometry, he's mentioning of India and mentioning Nagarjuna's finding of 0. Nowadays, the Hindu propagandists are saying Aryabhatta found 0. Yes, those who are scientists, I asked them to read Aryabhatta's derivation of 0 and to read Nagarjuna's derivation of 0, compare the two and find out which one is complete and what we use as the modern term of 0, the most powerful number in mathematics. They will themselves judge. I don't have to say. So this Pratitya Samutpat is showing how our energy is turning, a potential energy is turning into a kinetic energy, giving it a name and a form. So the name and form are fictitious. If it changes, it is no more like that. So as a seed changes into a tree produces a seed. How can one be the origin of the other? So in origin, it is the same consciousness. In this sense, the consciousness void of name and form is called shunyata. So even with all forms, voidness is always there. But now you understand it through physics. Break all forms into molecules, break all molecules into atoms. Then is electron, proton, neutron. electrons are eroding, protons are also eroding. Then the neutron get break up. Ideally, this theory, when the neutron breaks up, it makes multiple positrons. When positrons are broken up, they turn into alpha, beta, gamma ray. When alpha, beta, gamma ray is broken, it's plasma state of existence, where there is no particle. So if there is no particle, what is the particularity of anything? There's no difference. That state is the state of shunyata. So that state is the state of shunya if you don't see names and forms. But when you come down from there, that psychic state of nirvikalpa samadhi, you see all forms and names, everything present, but everything is a fictitious name and form of the same void, because in the substratum, there is no difference. That concept is shunyata. On that concept, Tantra was made and institutionalized. That is why, to explain Buddha's theory of Tantra and voidness, Nagarjuna had to first write Pratitta Samutpat. After completion of Pratitta Samutpat, he wrote the mathematical deduction of zero. Then he explained how every negative can be turned into a positive and then neutralized. So entire Tantra is picking up a negative in you, turning it into positive, and then neutralizing it into samadhi. Okay. So that is the concept of shunyata. Be very clear about it. Buddhism is called Sarvastivada. It's existential philosophy. It is not nihilistic philosophy at all, but entire interpretation of the Hindu Vedantis. Generally, Vedantis have interpreted Buddhism. They have done a blunder by interpreting shunyata or shunya of Buddha as nihilistic. That is why even Vivekananda, such a great character, made a blunderous comment that Buddhism is also Vedanta, because it's nihilistic according to him. He didn't understand it because he was not trained under any Buddhist guru. So it is his intellectual false speculation. Even Vivekananda can be intellectual false speculative. Keep it in mind. That does not diminish his other good qualities or activities, but this is a blunderous thing. Acha. Somebody is asking me about Srividya. Srividya is the oldest. Naveen is asking, no? Shri means aesthetics, beauty, cosmic beauty, cosmic aesthetics. Now you may ask me that how cosmic aesthetic, what is cosmic aesthetics? Because you understand beauty by choice. No. Agamas are saying beauty is a sense of aesthetics. The sense of aesthetics is evolved in human being through cosmic evolution, to earth evolution, to life evolution, to human evolution, to evolution of human psychology. And it's still evolving. So in that evolution, beauty or the sense of aesthetics is already a structure. It's nothing fictitious, nothing abstract. So how that structure of evolution is in you, the science of Srividya deals with that. But the problem is that science has been very cleverly hidden behind metaphoric aspects of deities and mantras. And then the process of the novice starts as an upasaka. So novice is an ignorant being who is purifying his body, mind, spirit, or body, mind, speech through upasana, prayers, rituals, and not more than that gets developed much. So in my over 20 years of my sojourn in South India, meeting South Indian masters of Srividya, I have not come across one who particularly knows about the sadhana. Everybody knows the upasana. That means the land, the peninsula is the Srikula Tantra. They are practicing Tantra means rituals, offerings in duality. Nobody, I have come across none who knows the science of it. So if I speak the science of it, there is nobody to support me. Nobody to refute me also, because they don't know what is. I will not name. One Srividya Guru was speaking about Kundalini, about the 6 chakras, 7 chakras, and the structure of Sri Mandala or SriYantra. At the end of the discussion, because I was presiding there, I had to interact. So I asked him that, Maharaj, will you say just the technique how to awaken Kundalini? It is in Mysore, International Srividya Conference. And he said, it will get awakened by grace of Mother, by worshipping the Mother. I said, your Kundalini is awakened. He got very angry that I asked him that question. If he knew the sadhana, he would have said, Siddhasana, Yoni Mudra, Shakti Chalini. By these 3 mudras, Kundalini can be awakened. But he has never learned to awaken. He's keeping it on the grace of Mother. And how I know my Kundalini is awakened? Either my imagination or self-hypnosis. What is the proof? I didn't find a single yogi in the Srividya tradition in my last 20 years visiting all the seminars and Sanskritized conferences and discussion boards of even the temples of Srividya. Why? You are from South India, I am openly saying this. Let the whole world listen to it. I asked, first time I was in Kodangalur Bhagavati temple, and they gave me a Guru Pitha. I had a 3 days of pravashan. That was my first public lecture. I have never given public lecture before, because I don't believe in giving public lectures. I am a technical teacher of the subject. I'm a guru of the subject. Anybody who wants to experience, I can try a person into experience. What is the meaning of talking all day? In these 3 days, all the questions I asked about Srividya, there were many Pithadishas, not a single one of them could answer it. One question was not answered, not a single one. Till today, I ask this question. that is Srividya mantras written in a wrong Sanskrit grammar. People will get angry because Sri Padukam Tatpayami Swaha. After each of the Navavarana mantras, Padukam Tatpayami Swaha. Padukam is in Sanskrit Ekavachanam. But a Paduka is always two pair. So it in Sanskrit has to be used in Dvivachan, Padukau or Padukabhyam. Should be. Why Padukam? I'm asking this question last 10 years. Even in forums of Srividya in Facebook, I have put this question. Many people have shown ultra smartness without answering that question. Why one Paduka? Anybody is a Srividya practitioner, I'm asking. Why you are worshipping one Paduka? Is your goddess lame, one-legged, one-footed? Or it is a wrong Sanskrit grammar used by this system? I'm asking, answer. Anybody in today's forum answer this? I will not answer it. Because if people do not know at all why Padukam, then there is no meaning of explaining them. This question didn't come in their mind. They are so laborious prototypes, blindly following. Bookful, blockheaded, ignorantly reads. They're so blindly following without knowing the subject. They're following, they're teaching, they're propitiating. Another question. Shodasha Nitya. Before making the Srividya Mandala or Yantra, you have to worship on the ground 16 Nityas. The term Nitya, according to Sanskrit, is which is constant and never changing. Nitya Vastu. But starting from great South Indian commentators on Srividya, like Mahashoroshi Karnaptam, they're all saying the 16 Nityas are the 16th cycle of the moon. Moon, effect of moon is our mind, which is anitya. Why it will be called Nityas? Why the 16 parts of the moon will be called Nityas? I'm asking this question last 16 years in my research. I've put this question 100 times in various Srividya timelines and in my timeline also in Facebook. No answers. No answers. Why? People have no quest, no intelligence. What they're studying, they don't know every word of it. What to speak of it? In one Srividya conference, my research paper on Srividya, which I worked for 15 years, because I come from Tarakula and Kalikula both. So I have practiced Kali Vidya and Tara Vidya. I have not practiced Srividya. But my Buddhist guru asked me to look into the SriYantra and find out what is the mistake in it and correct it. First of all, I've not worked with it before. And What is the fault? How do I know if I don't know the total Shastra? So that is the time around early 2000 or maybe on 2000, I starting Srividya with its most oldest text found is Mahashoroshi Karnam. With Shiva Chandra's commentary. So that time this question came to me, why Shorosha Nityas are called Nitya? If they are cycles of the moon, then they're every moment changing. Every one day, or even less than a day, a moon cycle is changing. So why it is Nitya? Nobody answered me. Not even the heads. I've asked them. They said, this is what is written. So they are all following what is written. It is like somebody has written, Taj Mahal is made up of black stone. And all others are researching on that, how Taj Mahal has been made by black stone. Nobody has seen Taj Mahal, that it is not made up of black stone. So what is the value of this tradition? I'm asking. I'm asking as a researcher, what is the basic of this sadhana? Where it will take us? What are the pros cons of the sadhana? Nobody knows sadhana. Everybody knows puja upasana. Bas. Bhog charao, फूल चढ़ाओ, पानी चढ़ाओ, हो गया, मां आकर सामने खड़ा हो जाए. Everything in Dvaitata. Even Adi Shankaracharya writing Saundarya Lahari, if Adi Shankaracharya is the author of Saundarya Lahari, the Shankaran group itself is bifurcating between it is written by him and not written by him. Because Srividya, Saundarya Lahari is written by Adi Shankara, that is why all the Pitha, Shankara Pithadishas will worship Srividya, particularly Kanchi Kamakoti. And because Shankara has not written this book, just the virtual opposite story, that is why we don't discuss about it. We practice about it because Shankara wrote it. We don't discuss about it because Shankara didn't write it. What type of idiocy or idiotic, wicked cleverness is this? I'm challenging today. This is why when question of Srividya comes, the wrathful Taravidya comes out from me. Many such questions are there about it that I can put, I'm not putting there. But the yantra of Srividya is how the two lobes of the brain, the right lobe and left lobe, are crossing each other's in their messages, and from where our bodha is coming up, that frequency has been designed by the east-west triangles. This is the same frequency when a fertilized ovum and sperm together makes first life cell to become a new human being. That cell's frequency is exactly like that. That is why Srividya is called Garbhashraya. Why Garbhashrayam? That when you were in your mother's womb, just a unicellular life dot, that is the Vindu in the center of the Srividya, this was your frequency. And when you were born, this became the frequency of your brain structure. Now this brain structure, now can you give me? Right. Suppose this is the skull. So this is the brain structure. This is the frontal lobe, this is the back lobe, these are the two parietal lobes. If you see, if you see the inside of it, you will see the two lobes are like two padukas. I'm showing you for you to understand it, the science. The brain is called an apple. Why? I'm showing you. So by an apple, I will describe you the structure. This is an apple. Now I'm cutting the apple into two halves. Now see this. Can you see there is the seed box? And these are the two sides. Can you see these are like the print of two slippers? Do you understand it, Naveen? Similarly, the brain structure is exactly like this. So the left lobe is Shiva and the right lobe is Shakti. So these are Guru Padukas. So if it is Shiva, Shakti, both are worshipped, then it will be Paduka Bhyam. In Guru Paduka Stotram by Adi Shankara, it has been written Namo Namo Shri Guru Padukabhyo, Namo Namo Shri Guru Padukabhyam. So, entire Srividya tradition is worshipping one part. So, it is an incomplete and it is a crippled Shastra that they are practicing. Entire Srividya does not give every form of Shiva, not every form of Shakti is not corresponding to a particular form of Shiva. Try to understand that. That is why it is Padukam. So it is a lame Shastra. It is not a complete Shastra. So the Guru's one foot is worshipped. The other foot has been cut off by idiocy and orthodoxy. This is how the Shakta traditions going against the Shaiva traditions have done it. So thus, in Srividya, Devi is prominent and Shiva is nowhere. You worship your Guru as Shiva has done. Next is everything Devi. Okay, Devi is also Guru. Then where is the other Paduka? So only the experiential part is the female lobe of the red lobe has been practiced. What about the IQ? Only EQ will make a complete human being. See, where from right or wrong comes understanding. One who does not understand the metaphor of it, what is the meaning of talking to them? It will be explaining colors to the blinds. Kebab. There's so much ignorance that speaking of enlightening process is also a folly. Because those who have indulged in ignorance for ages and ages and ages, If today I speak of the process of enlightenment, who is going to listen? And how many of them, if they listen also, will understand? And how many of them will change their process? Who is ready to change it? No one. That is why I stopped going to South India. My friends, Kotangalur, Bhagavati Temple, Mysore, everybody's every year, why Baba, you are not coming? They have got angry also with me, sad with me. It's meaningless. I go there, I hear some blah, 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 Sanskrit words, and come back, blah, 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 blah. Neither I am enriching myself with a new mode and style of sadhana, nor I can teach anybody the right process. The darkness of orthodox Hinduism has established ignorance in the seat of wisdom. Now, if we come to Shankara's realization, if Shankara is the highest realizer, according to the tradition, then even Shankara has found Srividya in Vishuddha Chakra. Whereas the Srividya yantra is in the head. So even Shankara didn't reach above Vishuddha Chakra. His Saundarya Lahari is the proof that his ultimate wisdom of Srividya, he found it in Vishuddha Chakra. So what to speak about sadhana? Tell me. I asked in Kotangalur Bhagavati Temple that there is a small temple behind the temple, adjacent to the temple, which has the old SriYantra installed by Parashurama. Because Srividya comes from Parashuramiya Kalpasutra. Parashuram got this teaching from Dattatreya. Dattatreya got this teaching from Agastha, and Agastha got this teaching from Adinatha. So Adinatha is the Adi Guru. Now, Parashuramiya Kalpasutram full text is not found. Many manuscripts have been found scattered, fragmented. Now the question is, Shankara installed a new SriYantra. Why the old SriYantra has been blocked? It has been made like a tomb. Under the tomb is the old SriYantra. I asked this question. Not a single priest, not the gurus of the temple, not any scholar there could answer me why. So from time of Shankaracharya till today, nobody has asked what was the fault of the old yantra that the new yantra was installed and there is no text upon it. Then why do you follow a system? What I'm speaking is nonsense or making some sense to you? If the tradition holders do not know the pros and cons of their practice and tradition, who will know? Who will ever know? Then in my research, I found at least 36 different kinds of SriYantra all over India. Even in Balaji temple of Tirupati, there is a SriYantra that is worshipped as the deities Vijnana Vigraha. But that SriYantra is completely different. I will show you Mukambika SriYantra, which is much more different than any SriYantra you see. খাদাটা সরিয়ে ফেলে this SriYantra I am going to show you was presented to me by a great tantric master, Traipuram Shastri, and was paying and has been hand drawn and painted by the head priest of Mukambika. See this SriYantra.
It's beautiful.
See how many more lotuses are there, Naveen, and how many more triangles are there. So how will you make out what is the science behind it if the traditions that are holding these systems themselves do not? So 15 years of study and research, I gave a 25 pages of a research paper in Mysore. When I read it, almost nobody understood. And in the middle of reading the paper, I was stopped because nobody is understanding anything. Then from Kerala, one Srividya Guru, Girish Kumar, stood up and said, whatever you are saying is answering all my doubts about the Srividya that I also had in my mind, but we could not go against the tradition to ask it to anybody. If I ask these questions that you are openly declaring, I will be called an atheist. And he is a highly educated Sanskritized teacher, coming from a very high tradition also. So that time, my SriYantra that I gave as the correct form, or a form that corresponds to the brain frequency or corresponds to the frequency of a fertilized ovum, and gave a mathematical explanation through geometry that is already forgotten by so-called tantrikas and upasakas. That a yantra is the vijnanamaya vigraha of a devata. So devata's scientific declaration is the geometry. Nobody knows the science of geometry. Tantric geometry, most of the people do not know. I have not come across people who know the tantric geometry. In tantric geometry, a triangle of the Trika, representing Trika or Trika, the trinity of duality, non-duality, and dual non-dual equipoise, has to be an equilateral triangle. Why? If any angle or side is bigger than the other, it is disturbing the balance of the trinity. Because the philosophy of the trinity or theory of the trinity says these three things are in an equated, balanced structure. So when you represent it in geometry, which is mathematics, you have to do it into an equilateral triangle. Now, Naveen, find out how many SriYantras around you, the central triangle is equilateral triangle. So if it is not equilateral, there is no ultimate spiritual resolution of samadhi. Then worshipping that chakra, what will give you? Check with all your chakras around you. Check the temples as you go. Is it equilateral triangle or not? In most of the case, it is a golden mean ratio triangle, not an equilateral triangle, which is changefulness, the theory of changefulness, not the theory of constant nature. So thus, these upasakas can never answer why 16 mithas will be 16 changefulness and not constant nature. So how this structure of being in its pure form, unconditioned, unperverted state, you can reach by the equating two lobes of the Guru Padukas, and then in the center of it, in the corpus callosum, you get into final samadhi. And when you come back from samadhi, how the whole world of God-made nature looks beautiful to you. From there, the science and sense of aesthetics is derived. But worshipping a chakra, which is already in a wrong mathematical order, and which will reach you to a constant changefulness and not a permanent solution, how can you attain the samadhi? How can you know about the cosmic beauty? You will know about your personal sense of beauty, and everybody's personal sense of beauty and ruchi may be different. So nobody will find or get trained in the ruchi or the taste of the absolute. Most of you who are sitting here is making no sense to you what I'm speaking, because the yantra is not present here. The tradition you do not know. The terms I'm talking about is unknown to you. But what to do? I've got a question I have to answer. So this science of aesthetics, how is the brain frequency designed? I have given diagrams there and I've explained. So you write to me in Facebook, I will send you the research paper, you read it. So when you get any questions thereby, you ask me, I will explain. Without knowing the basic structure, if I go on saying, everything will be Greek Latin too. Not indulging in more ignorance, I'm not discussing about it. Because I don't belong to that tradition. Because of my Tibetan guru, Chachal Sangha Rinpoche, ordered me to do a research on it, I did. But when I completed the research, it was published from Mysore though. Not many people have read it because they don't understand it. This is my tragedy. And then when this SriYantra was first time engraved in a copper plate, I'm trying for 6 years somebody to engrave it, and everybody engraves it is making wrong geometry. They're not happening. It's not the grace of the mother. So ultimately when it happened, the day the yantra came in my hand, and I am packing up to go to Nepal to meet Chachal Sangha Rinpoche, offer my research to his hand, because he has ordered me this. I heard that yesterday night he breathed his last. And I heard from one person that he said that what I wished for, the research on Srividya to be completed, to bring it out from the darkness of ignorance, has already been done. But I could not take it to him and get it checked or justified. This is also a tragedy to me. But in my altar, that yantra is being worshipped, more than worshipped. You know, a yantra is to find the nerve circuits in your brain or vertically on your body, how to draw with the chi lines or the energy lines, this yantra in your body, manifest it in yourself, will take you to that accomplishment. It's not worshipping on a design. It has to be inside you. You have to program it inside you. How to program it, also people do not know. If people do not know how to awaken Kundalini and chakras and say, Ma will do it, then okay, Ma will someday do it. Ma is doing all this ignorance also in there. So it's very difficult to give sadhanas to people because people know a lot of things as information with full-fledged ignorance. They have no experience in that. So whatever will come from worshipping a yantra is bhakti bhava. So why I will worship a yantra, not worship a statue which will regenerate more bhakti bhav? Seeing a design, do you fall in love with a design? Or you see a form, a human form, and fall in love with the human form? So why not the statue of Tripura Sundari more important than the SriYantra? What is a yantra? All big practitioners having thousands of disciples cannot answer what is the science of a yantra. They all talk mysticism. There is no science known to them. So as much as I can speak to you about Srividya, I told you. But in this 15 years, I have regularly, every day, every night, practiced these chakras, yantras, and developed it. Wherever, which marma I'm finding it disturbing in my brain, it's not right. I've sat in meditation and found no resolution. Then again, I started newly. Like this, after 15 years, I could complete the research. With this research, a number of mathematicians, geometricians, people of physics, all over the world worked with. They all helped me to reach there. But what I have done needs voluminous work to explain. So one who has gone through it will only understand what I have written, but still you read and find out what I'm saying. Sure. There are two more questions, let me see. Prashant is asking, Babaji, if I may ask, how is the lingam and SriYantra related? The lingam and SriYantra is related as the all lingam, the term lingam means it comes from the verb root ling. Ling means to encompass. So the sense of Shiva Lingam is all encompassing consciousness. So the dot or the bindu of the SriYantra is seen as the lingam. Many people imagine it or visualize it as the Shiva Lingam. But when you are doing Srividya Puja, the lingam is not worshipped. The point is Lalita Tripura Sundari. It's not Shiva. You know it better if you are a practitioner. Somebody is asking me, Ganesh, please share your thoughts on three divisions in Tantra as per geography: Rathakranta, Ashakranta, Vishnukranta, Amnai, Upa-Amnai. Is this relevant and practiced today? Buddhism also have this system, or only Hindu system has it? Tantra is not Hindu in its specific nature because Tantra is non-Vedic completely. For last 30 years, I'm debating on it, and I have asserted it. I've gone debate with high tantric masters. I have always won the debate by my citations from tantras and its practices, that it is not a Hindu system. Tantra is a system by itself. Rathakranta is Shri Kula, Vishnu Kranta is Kali Kula, and Ashakranta is Tara Kula. Tara Kula Tantra is purely Buddhist in nature. Rathakranta and Vishnu Kranta Tantras has been changed from Shaiva Shakta to Smarta. editing after declination of Tantric era of the Pearl dynasty. Thus, the Himalayan Tantras are in pure nature, or Tarakula is pure nature of Buddhist Tantra. There's no question. And the Vishnukranta and Ashwakanta are Shaiva Shakta. Bauddha and Shaiva Shakta are not much difference. Ganesh, you stay in Bombay, go to Ellora and see all the caves, Buddhist caves, Jaina caves, Shaiva caves, Shakta cave, and one Vaishnava cave called Sitake Khai. See all the caves and see how the deities of each cave are reshuffled into all the caves. So there is no difference there in iconography and archaeological proof of all these 5 schools of agamas were brothers and they all practiced together. Today you are differentiating this. That time, in its own time, it was not differentiated. And a detailed description of it, if you go to the Blue Way of Satpurananda, if Banibrata is here, please help Ganesh to get my writing there. It has been published in that forum. It is also part of my research, geographical context of Tantra. I've written, I don't want to say it again and again. These are just informations, it's not just matters of wisdom. So Ganesh, Banibrata will guide you in Facebook to read my research on these 3 krantas and their differences and their practices. It's just information, meaningless to talk about.
Oh yes, thank you.
And today we have talked on very serious issues. I don't think if I talk more, anybody will take a little bit more in their brain. I think it's quite saturated today, isn't it? What do you think, Maitreyi Ma? Today you are the organizer, so you say. Anything more?
It's perfect, Baba. If anyone has more question, they can ask though.
Acha, somebody has asked that Son Dal says, Baba, can you please shed light on Ma Mandarava's Aghor lineage, if any? Mandarva doesn't have a Aghor lineage. Aghor lineage is Khando Esechogels or Jaya Vidya's lineage. But Mandarava's sections of teachings are all of water element. The earth element teachings are by Shakya Devi, the Nepalese princess wife of Padmasambhava, who ultimately lived like a ascetic in Benares and left her body at the bank of the Ganges, on whom the Lalita Tripura Sundari temple has been erected in Lalita Ghat, Benares. Remember this. So she is the holder of the earth practices. She is called Shakya Devi, the yellow Tara, incarnation of yellow Tara. Mandarava is called the red Tara, which is the water element. I'm speaking from context and view of Indian Vajrayana and Tantra. Tibetan Vajrayana and Tantra has some little differences because of cultural and anthropological inputs. It's very difficult to understand these differences. I'm not going there. I'm speaking what I know. The fire element goddess is Rinzing Wangmo. The Chinese, Tibetan Chinese mixed princess of King Wencheng's tradition. King Wencheng was the princess of China, married to the Tibetan king Songtsen Gampo, and in her third or fourth generation, two princesses were born. One is Rinzing Wangmo, and the other is Jayavidya Jayantika or Khando Esechogel. Khando Esechogel is the air element Tara, or the black Tara, or the blue black Tara, or the wrathful Tara incarnation. So the real Aghor teachings are by Khando Esechogel. But the fifth, or the green Tara incarnation as Guru Rinpoche's wife, is Kala Siddhi, according to Buddhist documentation. And in Shaiva documentation, she is called Shiva Kami, is the princess of Kanchi Kamakoti, whom, according to the Shaiva tradition, Shiva took the form of Nataraja and taught the dance of enlightenment. And in Buddhist tradition, Padmasambhava taught her the dance of enlightenment. That tradition is called Padma Nrityeshwara tradition in the Buddhist line, and in Shaiva line, it is called Nataraja tradition. In Natha Sampradaya, that I come from, my Guru Ramnatha Guri Baba was of this tradition called Nateshwari or Nadeshwari tradition. So this lineage is of the green annal. So Padmasambhava came from Tibet, traveling with Khando Esechogel to Sikkim and even to North Bengal. There is a hill called Jayanti Hills near Kuch Bihar, near Alipurduar, Kuch Bihar. It's a 2.5 kilometer trek up the mountain. Some parts are real mountaineering. There is a cave of Mahakala, where Padmasambhava and Khando Esechogel together gave the teachings of Bhutadhamara. And there is a cave in the top of Darjeeling Mall, is also called Mahakal. There also it is said some teachings of Mahakal Tantra, because the entire Aghor Tantra is Mahakala Tantra, has been given. Now the Shaivite terminology is Aghor Tantra. The Buddhist terminology is Niruttara Tantra. Bhutadhamara. If you read Bhutadhamara Tantra, the first hymn to Lord Bhutadhamara or Mahakala is the hymn to Vajrapan. I will chant this from Bhutadhamara so you understand. This is where this very wrong understanding of Hindu Tantra and Buddhist Tantra, idiotic scholars make them. I'm coming. The first time says, Bomavaktran Mahakayam Pralayagni Samaprabham Abhitta Vedakam Stomi Bhutadhamana Namakam Krudhadhipam Bomavaktran Vajrapaning Surantakam Sarva Papa Kshayakaran Dukkhadaridra Ghatakam Sarva Roga Kshayakaran Sarva Vigna Vinashanam Mahaprabhav Jananam Damanang Dushta Chetasam, Mahachabatkara Karang Sthiti Utpatti Layatmakam, Trailakyadhipating Rodram, Sura Siddha Namaskritam, Aghorananda Mahakala, Bhukti Mukti Falapradam. So in the same version, you found Vajrapani is worshipped as a Mahakala. So Vajrapani is a Buddhist primordial deity, and Mahakala is a very early Shaivite deity. So of course from Shaivism, Buddha has inherited it, give him in different names, but the practice remains the same. It's no different. In Ajanta caves, I have found 4 small statues of Mahakala with Mundamala and everything. And there, the Vajrapani is very handsome, not like terrible Vajrapani. It's very gentle, very handsome and elegant. Means at that time was Nagarjuna's time, when elegant Mahakala was, elegant Vajrapani was there. And in time, a Vajrayana, wrathful Vajrapani came up. It's all, as I said, sages make the deities according to their mental designs. Okay, then I think this much is enough. But yes, one thing I need to say, there is a text of Kalikula, which is a Shakta text. It's called a Nila Tantra. The name is like blue Tantra. The color blue or black is asserted to the air element and the sky element. In this text, in the 13th, 14th, and 15th chapter, there is a description of the Devi of this section of Shakta Tantras of Bengal, because you know Mandarva was the princess of Jashore. That is what the Tibetans call Zahor. So Jashore is now in Bangladesh. So that time it was a Bengal. We do not know what was the map of the state or the country that time, because these political boundaries have continuously changed in ancient and medieval India due to continuous political fights, annexations and annexations and annexations. So there, Mandarava's name is Uma Devi. If you see the term Mandarava in Tibetan also, Mandar means Western Himalayas. Rava in Tibetan means bloom, lotus, or daughter. So the daughter of the Himalayas, or the lotus of the Himalayas, which is coming to the meaning of Parvati. Mandarava's father was the prince, king of Mandi. But he lost his throne to his brother. And he was married to the princess Manoka or Maneka of Jashore. And Jashore didn't have a prince. So he inherited the estate of the in-laws and became the king of Bengal. That is how Mandarava and Shantarakshita, these 2 children, were born to them. So Shantarakshita's sister is Mandarava. And where was the center, we cannot assert today historically or geographically, but it was in Bangladesh, that is sure, because when Padmasambhava left Nalanda with 5 major teachers of colleagues of Nalanda, Shantarakshita, Bimalamitra, Kamalashila, Buddha Gujja, and Vairochana, they went to Kashmir Vikramshila monastery, where Nagarjuna also taught for a time. So there it was the time of Abhayakara Gupta, whose disciple was Abhinava Gupta. Again, Abhinava Gupta is Shaivite, because in these Buddhist monasteries, Shaivism, Shaktism, Buddhism, and Jainism and Vaishnavism is to be studied all together. Even see the oldest monasteries of Nepal, which may be the last heritage of Indian Vajrayana. You go to the Golden Temple of Patan, you will see Radha, Krishna, Lalita are worshipped. You go and see the Vajreshwari temple from the way to Swayambhunath, crossing the river in the left side, up, you will see Radha, Krishna, Lalita panel in the Nath Mandir in the right side. So Vaishnavism was included in Vajrayana. Today we are seeing Vajrayana from the Tibetan view, so we are missing this. If more the Newari views comes up, then we will resolve many issues about Hindu Tantra and Buddhist Tantra. Entire South India considers Kubjika Tantra as the oldest text allied to Srividya. Whereas the oldest manuscript of Kubjika Tantra has been found with the Newaris or Buddhist Nepal royal heritage. Entire Newari tradition follows Kubjika Tantra. So how will you prove this? One is in the extreme north of India, another is the extreme south of India. And a comparison has been done in the scholastic world between the manuscript of South India and the manuscript of the Newaris. The Newari manuscript is more Buddhist in character, Shaivite. It's accepting Shaivite and Buddhism as the same thing. Whereas in view of Tantra, whereas in South India, it is more Shaivite and Shaktite. The areas of Buddhist areas are omitted and is a much later edition of that manuscript. Again, if you even read Bhaskara Raya's, that 17th century Mahasiddha Bhaskara Raya or Bhaskaranandanatha of South India, Srividya text called, written by his disciple Umanandanath, Nityotsava. In Nityotsava, if you see the chapter of Ravirashmi Mala Tantra, then a mantra and hymn to Tara has been mentioned as Shakya Darshana Devatam, that it is, Tara is a Buddhist deity accepted in the Srividya tradition. One. Then another mantra of Parasayambhunatha mantra. There he has been called Uddiyana Pandita, Uttanda Tandava Panditaya Namana. So there also it is mentioning Padmasambhava, who is the prince or the great wise master from Uddiyana. That is why in Tibetan is called Udyan Lobela. Lobela is Pandita. Udyan is Uddiyana. Then at the end of the chapter, there is a chapter on correcting mantras, mantra shuddhi. In that mantra shuddhi, according to the laws of mantra shuddhi, has been written that never try to correct Buddhist, Jain, and Kirat mantras because they are original and perfect. So if a Hindu Tantra, so-called Hindu Tantra, can claim that the Buddhist, Jain, and Kirat Tantras are the origin Tantras, original tantras, and those mantras cannot be corrected because they are correct by themselves, then what more point remains us to say which tantra is earlier? Which tantra is original? Yes, agamas, even Buddha didn't teach Manjusri, Mula, Kalpa and others. They are all agama texts, both agama texts. So agamas are theories on Yoga Shastra. Yoga is their practice and the theory is agama. So that 5 agamas are Shaiva, Shakta, Vaishnava, Jain and Buddhist. So all these came from the same root and same practice. The yoga is a secular practice, is not standing on any religion, no sect. So tantra is the essence of the agamas. So how it can be said Buddhist tantra, Shaiva tantra? Academically, tantra is Buddhist because the first text of tantra still now asserted is Guccha Samaja by Nagarjuna. Prior to that, no tantra has been found. And interesting, this tantra, Guccha Samaja, has been asserted as Kulachara, not only by Buddhists. In its entire mantra system, it is calling Kulachara. Even Haraprasad Shastri's son, Dr. Vinayatosh Bhattacharya, one of the greatest researchers on Tantra and one of the most authentic texts that he has written, Indian Buddhist iconography, a translation of Sadhanamala Tantra of the Buddhist. In the introduction, he has mentioned Kulachara is essentially Buddhist. Then it was incorporated in the Smarta times into Hindu Tantras. Okay, then this much is enough for today. People may not sleep all night. Go on chewing their brain. Navabharat publication has gone down very much. When Navabharat publication, the publisher Ranjit Babu was alive, he was Swami Abhedananda's disciple. I was one of the scholars in the body of the texts. So that time, the mention of manuscripts, how many manuscripts have been found, how each manuscript has differed from the other, where it has differed, Pathantaram, Pathodharam, everything is to be done. Nowadays, no scholar is in that publication, so far I know. So in this text, these are mostly Smarta Tantras, and it's very difficult to find out its reality. Baba, boi pore tantra sadhana hobe na. Reading a book, you will not know about tantra. You have to practice with the Guru. Otherwise, you go to the desert with a book written all about the qualities of water and quench your thirst reading the book. The Shukriti Ma is saying, Baba, when I made the Kailasha, some years back, I meditated in a little cave said to be visited by Padmasambhava, Mandarva and Eshes Chogel. It was now a part of the only monastery, the route directly opposite to Kailash. Yes, Mandarva many a times went to meet Khando Eshe Chogel. See, this is what I could not complete. People are asking too many questions. Doesn't let me finish one answer. In Kalikula, there is a text called Nilakram. In that Nilakram, there is a story. The story is the goddess of Bengal is asking Shiva because entire Smarta Tantra has been made into Shiva Shakti, not mentioning any historicity of them. Shiva is asking, Shakti is answering. Those are Shakta Tantras, and Shaiva Tantras are Shakti is asking and Shiva is answering. Whatever. There, the goddess asked Shiva that we have heard about Mahachina Tantra. Mahachina is the Sanskrit name of Tibet. We have heard about your Mahachina Tantra and Gandharva Tantra as the highest among all tantras, all practices. But you have given a reference to them, but you have never disclosed those tantras to me. So please disclose these tantras to me, what you have taught in Mahachina. Shiva said straightly that your process, the tantras you hold are tantras of purification. Mahabhavena bhavini. Shuddha bhavena bhavini. So you are tantras of Shuddhi, tantras are tantras on purification. So what are the tantras of purification? Kaya parishuddhi, chitta parishuddhi, vak parishuddhi. Purification of body, mind, and speech. This clear earth element, water element, and fire element. The air element tantra or the Niruttara tantras are always beyond purification. So there, Shiva is saying to Shakti that this is beyond purification and you are within purification. That is why I cannot disclose these tantras to you. At this, the goddess got angry with Shiva and threatened him that I am the embodiment of the Kundalini energy, and if you discriminate me and not give me the wisdom that you have shared with somebody else, then I will destroy your dynasty. Hearing this, Shiva said things which doesn't make much sense, or these are metaphoric words or sandhya bhasha that needs to be interpreted. That if you understand this is the teaching. So in that teaching, three things are very important. There is no desha kala deha sparsha vivaranam. There is no particular time, particular space, touchability present in the practice of this tantra. The absolute pure consciousness is to be propitiated rather than any deity. And no Shuddhikarana can enter there, no state of purification or Puritanism can enter that school. Thus is my teaching, a Mahachina Tantra, and thus it is not for you. In Natha Sampradaya, there is a story about it, though a folk story, an oral story. The story is, in Amarnath cave, a big congregation of all the Nathas happened. According to Natha Sampradaya, Matsyendranathas or Minapa's guru was Shiva himself, and this called as Abhinatha, or the oldest or the ultimate master of the Nathas. Particular name has not been mentioned. But Natha Sampradaya is a yogic tradition. My Guru Ramnath Aghori Baba said that it is a tradition of human enlightened beings and no gods jumping down from heaven on earth. Thus, Adinatha was also a human being. And I was ordered by Ramnath Aghori Baba to start a research on him. I remember Ramnath Aghori Baba called him Swayambhunatha the day I was initiated. So I started researching on Swayambhunatha. In 1996, I went to Nepal, Kathmandu, and visited the stupa of Swayambhunatha and learned that from the time of Dipankara Buddha, or the earliest Buddha, according to Gautama Buddha said that long back in the start of Satya Yoga, there was a Buddha called Dipankara, and he is the Adi Buddha. And he taught something that I'm not going there, bifurcation. But the Swayambhunatha Stupa has a text, which is a Puran, of course, a mythology again. So very little things can be traced out from there as reality. But it has been found that inside the stupa, the relics are a lamp burning from the time of Dipankara Buddha, a vase of crystal having tears of Lachamandarava or Umadevi, and a dreadlock of Padmasambhava kept there. And if you see the stupa of Swayambhunatha, in its front facet, above the dome, above the eyes, where the rings are going up, there is a crown-like shaped facet. On that facet, the central figure is Padmasambhava. So, of course, the dignitaries, our stupa will be put in that facet. That is the rule, according to architecture and iconography. So there are many more statues, but the central main statue in the top is Padmasambhava. So, of course, Swayambhunatha Stupa was named and offered to Padmasambhava, though it is a place from the time of Dipankara Buddha claimed. Okay. From there I started. Now, in Sanskrit, when you do a research, you have to go to the Sanskrit grammatical etymology of a word. Nowadays, many idiot scholars, modern scholars, follow the Western etymology and try to describe the root of a word in Sanskrit. Those who do not know Sanskrit, they do that idiocy. Manipurato, if you remember, recently somebody wrote about the term Hindu, and I commented on it. Do you remember it? In Facebook? So the way they have done, then Hin can means this, that, whatnot. No, Sanskrit is a very precise language. You can interpret it as 1,000 ways, but the grammar does not speak of 1,000 ways. Grammar speaks of one precise way. So the term Hindu still not found its Sanskrit grammatical root. So as much as over-intellectual etymology comes out, it's ultimately following Western etymology, nothing to do with Sanskrit words. They have to show a nam dhatu or a kriya dhatu or a upasarga or a pratyay. On this four, the etymology of a Sanskrit word has to be decided. Whatever. The term Swayambhu means self-evolved. So if you read Padmasambhava's text, Padmasambhava is saying that the universe is self-evolved, as today a modern cosmologist will say. He has not said any God created it. So this mythical imagination is not present in Tantra. Tantra also describes as a self-evolution. Thus, how the universe self-evolved and epitomized here on earth as a human being, that science is Tantra. So Swayambhunath also is a Nath, a Lord, who is Swayambhu, self-born. Now, many epithets of this self-born has been found in Tibetan literature. Because Padmasambhava was found with the placenta, which is in Sanskrit called Garbha Kamala. So Garbha Kamal means the ovary lotus, the placenta. The Padmasambhava was born together with the placenta, and the water sac didn't blow out, or the air sac was still present. And he was found in Dhanakosha lake, the placenta being caught into the lotus leaves and flowers. So it is a human placenta which had the baby inside. And great Lord Pravasahasti, Julie Virgin is writing, she's a medical practitioner, that it is called ammonitic sac. Isn't it, Julie? So it is not the placenta. She corrected me. Thank you. Oh, it's Joy here. So Joy, nowadays you are speaking in name of Julie. I will kill you. So what is, thus his name was made Padmasambhava, because the child, broke out the placenta itself with the first sun rays touching that sac, the Garbha Kamal, or the flower, or the womb lotus, or the ovary lotus. And Lord Pravasahasti with Sri Singha and another, I'm forgetting the name, the three gurus of Padmasambhava.
Manjushri Mitra.
Manjushri Mitra. Three of them went to a pilgrimage in Dhanakosha, having a vision and a dream about Padmasambhava is like the Buddha of this era is taking bath, and they found this baby early in the morning in that Dhanakosha lake when they went for the morning ablution. So he is self-born in the sense his parents are not found. And the ultimate truth of self-born is when you go to void, attain nirvana, and come down, you are called Swayambhu. This is a code, tantric code language. So correlating this, I started getting things. And it's a research for more than 35 years of my life that I'm asserting that in the folk name Adinath is no other than Swayambhunatha or Padmasambhava himself. Tantra Loka, the text by Abhinavagupta has called Shambhunath and his consort as the father and mother of the Shaiva society or Kaulakrama. Parabhattaraka, Parabhattarika, and even the Guru of all the Nathas. So he has been historically mentioned and documented in Tantraloka text in the Mangalacharana or the start of the text. Read it and see. Paribrata, do you remember that sloka of Tantraloka where Shambhunatha has been mentioned as the Lord of the total Nathas? In my Vajrayana book, I have written about, I have quoted that sloka.
No, Baba, I forgot.
Okay. Okay. I don't immediately remember the sloka, but you go to Tantraloka. তুই তন্ত্রালোকের ওই চ্যাপ্টারটা দেখেছিলি তো মঙ্গলাচরণে স্বয়ংনাথের যে রেফারেন্সটা?
হ্যাঁ বাবা দেখেছি, আমি ওই ই বুকে ওটা খুঁজছি, একটু দ্বারা আমি বলছি।
Whatever, there are many more things will come up and will be found.
Sriman Maheshwaracharya Varya.
Yes.
Sriman Maheshwaracharya Varya, Srimad Abhinava Guptacharya Virachitaha, Sriman Maheshwaracharya, Sri Jayaratha Krita Viveka Vishti Popetaha, Sri, like that it starts, Baba. Is this what you're asking?
It's more. See what the name of Matsyendranath is there.
1 million.
He's saying how he learned this from the Karika or the yoga from Matsyendranath. Wait, I have to open up my files to do it. I don't like to do this scholastic work anymore. Yes, Gorakhnath meditated in Asura cave, and maybe in the Asura cave is only the second stone statue of Padmasambhava found in Nepal. One is found in Bodhnath and one in Phating. Yes, and Gorakhnath meditated there, it's true. Because wherever Shambhunath meditated, that became the pilgrimage of all the Nathas. But I will tell you one thing, as you said, somebody said that is Mandarva's tradition, is there any symbol? Is there Aghor Tantra there? I will mention another thing, a little controversy, that is the symbol of Mandarva is a skull bowl on a lotus. না না গিয়ে শুয়ে পড় না, ঘুমিয়ে পড় না, এত কষ্ট করছিস না, সারাদিন খেটেছিস। And a Kartarika, this is the symbol of Mandarva. On a lotus is a skull bowl and a Kartarika. Because Mandarva was holding the doctrine of Vajra Paramita and its tantric practices. So the Vajra Paramita is the diamond chopper blade. And Padmasambhava's symbol is the same skull bowl with a Vajra on it. These are the symbolic or icons of Tantra. Now, in my Guru's Baba Ramnath Aghori's seat in Pashupatinath cremation ground, there is on his seat a symbol of a skull, a lotus, on it a skull, and on it a chopper blade. So that mark is mark of Mandarva, but he is Aghori. So I am also telling this story. You will understand this, that in Amarnath, this congregation of the Nathas happened, where Umanath or Uma Devi, according to Nath tradition, they called Umanath. Umanath enticed 9 Nathas in that congregation in the form of a Dakini or enchantress. It said Mohini Murti or an enchantress's form. It was to insult Saimunath because Saimunath didn't give her the Aghora Tantras. So at this, except Gorakhnath, all the 8 Nathas called her a mother and prostrated to her and said, being the mother, you cannot entice us. And Gorakhnath got very angry and broke the pelvic girdle of the goddess with his chimta. This is a folk story. In Bengal, near Shantiniketan, there is a Sati Peeth called Konkalitala, where they believe Sati's kakal or pelvic girdle has fallen. There, a local folk story of Gorakhnath is there, and they say that Gorakhnath broke Umanatha's pelvic girdle with his chimta, and Gorakhnath came here ultimately to do a prashchit of that because she is the Param Guru Ma. And there was a fight between the goddess and Gorakhnath. There's a story about it. Folk story though. Most of the Indian Nath Sampradayas cannot show text. They only say stories. That's a tragedy. Whereas Vajrayana tradition produces texts of this Chaudasi Siddhas. So you can see clearly that the Hindu tradition has lost the Sanskrit text. Maybe the Smartas burnt it. Maybe the Nepal kings in the Hindu rule didn't allow to take out the text. I have seen in Royal Nepal Palace full of family manuscripts rotting. They don't allow to take even a photograph of them. Now they are coming up. I recently heard from scholars, many of these texts are now coming up. During time of Ramnath Aghori Baba initiated a research with scholars of Oxford who made the first research or transcription of He Vajra Tantra. So today Nath Sampradaya runs on fictitious levels. No Soviet tradition accepts the Vedas, but the Vedic traditions have accepted Shiva. You go to South India and ask any Siddha tradition, Agastha tradition, if there is a Siddha, will not accept the Vedas. They said, we don't care Vedas and Vedantas. So this is how the story comes. Now, when I was studying with Tibetan masters and researching, I found in the Tibetan tradition, if a person cannot control his sexual urge or wants to purify the sexuality, they have to meditate themselves having sexual intercourse with Mandarva, which is a nasty and perverted thought for us Indians, because she is the mother of the tradition. We are not motherfuckers. But now question comes, why? Because in Shaiva tradition, if a woman cannot control the sexual urge, there is a process of visualization, meditation of having sex with Shiva. That all women do. Worship Shiva lingam as their husband. It is accepted. But having sex with the mother goddess, this thought is only in an avadhut who is Shiva Swarupa. Madhura Rasa Upasana, it is called. So I started searching why this perverted practice is there. Then I found the same story of Natha Sampradaya comes in Tibetan folklore, that in the cave of Kashmir, Amarnath cave, there was a great congregation of the 84 Siddhas, most of the 84 Siddhas, and Padmasambhava was there. Lacha Mandarva took the form of a Dakini and enticed the Nathas, and Gorakshpa, which is the Tibetan name of Gorakhnath, broke her pelvic girdle, and all the Nathas called her mother and asked her not to tempt them. So, because she is becoming a Dakini or a Bhairavi by her mind, wishing over to Padmasambhava other men, she is worshipped as a holy whore in this particular tradition. And this particular tradition hails from Helembu. If you go to Helembu, you will find the total village of Dakinis. They wear a very particular type of robe that is red inside and white outside. And this Helembu Dakinis had a seat in Bodhanath. Now that has been broken. So in old times when I have gone to Bodhanath, you could have hired a Dakini from that Helembu temple, which was in front of Bodhanath main gate. Not main gate, like you entered the Bodhanath gate around the temple. When you entered the temple of the protective deity, just opposite, there was a square house and all ladies used to sit and chant there. They are all Dakinis, and most of them were from the Helembu village. And in this Helembu village, there is a rock seat of Padmasambhava under a fountain. And Helembu has a big cave also of Padmasambhava. So these stories, aligning these stories, you can find a history, a daisy history. Now you analyze and find it. This is how my researches went on. So thus, in Umanath's tradition, Aghor is not permitted in the Natha Sampradaya because it's a Shuddhikaran. And the consecration of Red Matsyendranath was done by Guru Padmasambhava on his way to Tibet. Now you can understand Matsyendranath red and Matsyendranath white. What does that mean? That means Matsyendranath as the Guru of white annal and Guru of red annal. So time Matsyendranath, first time when Matsyendranath got the teaching of Vajrayana yoga, he got it from Saimunath and Umanath discussing about the sexual practices in an island near Sundarbans, in Sundarbans of South Bengal, because Matsyendranath was a fisherman there, and he was meditating in his boat under the island. And he has put a net to catch fishes, and he heard this total yogic teaching of Saimunath teaching Uma Devi. And at the end, Saimunath said that if anybody gets this teaching from you who is not eligible for this teaching, then great sins will come up on that person. So by mistake also, don't give to anybody who is not prepared for this teaching. And he said, what are the preparations of this teaching and not? That time, Matsyendranath went up the island and saw this yogi and yogini, the yogi couple sitting under a tree, and he prostrated and said, I unknowingly listened to it. And because I unknowingly listened to it, what sin I have got, please forgive me. So Saimunath said a doha. It's called Adinath's doha. The doha is, if you want a purification and redemption of the sin, lose the two oars of your boat. Give away the steer to the water. And allow the boat to go to the ocean. And if you survive there, you are redeemed of your sin. What actually Saimunath said was in a Twilight language, a Sandhya Bhasha metaphoric language. The boat is the body. The river is process of sadhana. The two oars are inhale and exhale. And the steer is the witness consciousness that is regulating the yoga. So what he meant, going into the center of the ocean is going to the center of the Sahasrat, your sin will be redeemed. That means with enlightenment, redeem your sin. So what is the practice? Stop breathing, stop watching something from duality, lose the witness consciousness and get into samadhi. This is the inherent meaning of this doha. But Matsyendranath was a fisherman. He understood very grossly. But metaphors are like, if you follow grossly, you will also get something. That is the mysticism. So he went down, said, take off the anchor. So anchor means holding on to some views. That is what Saimunath said, don't hold on to some views. So he threw the anchor, he threw the steer, he threw the oars and sat in a meditation because he was already practicing Nagarjuna's meditation through a lineage of Nagarjuna. So when he was meditating, of course, the tide came, the boat moved from the gully and went to the ocean. When it went to the center of the ocean or far into the ocean, he was eaten up by a whale. And when Saimunath was coming back from this place, when he went to the shore from this island, the main shore, he saw many people are gathering around the whale split open. What a whale has died and reached the shore. So the oil of the whale was medicinal and the fishermen used to burn lamps with that oil. Whale oil, like cod liver oil, is very high O3. So it's good for medicines also according to Ayurveda. So whatever. And they found that one of their heads of the fisherman clan is sitting there without breath, without movement, and he was found from the tummy of the whale. When Adinath saw it, Adinath understood that he has attained the accomplishment of the samadhi, and he has generated so much energy that he does not even know that he has been eaten up by the whale, but whale swallowed him, and in the tummy of the whale, his energy, the whale could not tolerate and died. And so a dead thing came to the shore. So Swayambhunath tested him and found he is in this state. So Swayambhunath, Adinath, whatever you call, he brought him down from this Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and then his entire life changed. He followed the Guru and traveled with him. He was no more a fisherman. But that is how he is called Matsyendranath, that from a whale, he has killed a whale. He is the ruler over the whale, the big fish. That is how his folk name came out. So this is the story of Matsyendranath. So and then he traveled with him, learned many things. So the red Matsyendranath is this teaching, the teaching of, according to my research, the teaching of Swayambhunatha to Umadevi, that was inherited by Matsyendranath. Later came as Vajra Yuga, is the red Matsyendranath. So consecrating the red Matsyendranath means in Nepal, when Matsyendranath was with Swayambhunath, so there he consecrated or gave him the lineage right to be a guru. That is the red Matsyendranath, and the white Matsyendranath is the fire element teaching so much. Both were in Nepal. He has given great teachings in Nepal, in Maharashtra, in Girnar. He has traveled all through India. So next to Padmasambhava, next to Swayambhunatha, I call Swayambhunatha or Adinath as Padmasambhava. This is my research. People may contradict, no problem. They have to read my researches. To accept or not accept doesn't matter. This is my theory. But I have proofs from texts, many texts, not one text. And thus, the Siddha Natha tradition, the tradition of the 84 Siddhas came. Because in Tantraloka, Abhinavagupta mentions that he is disciple of Matsyendranath to start with, and then he took teachings from many Nathas. Ultimately, he came to the congregation of all Nathas, where the head Natha was Shambhunatha. And Shambhunatha, remember, Swayambhu and Shambhu are two epithets with the same meaning, almost same meaning. Was giving teachings with his wife, and they are called Parabhattaraka, and Parabhattarika means the heads of the society. I have the text with me too. I have to get it to.
Baba?
Huh.
শ্রী শম্ভুনাথ ভাস্কর চরণা নিপাত প্রভা পগত সংকোচম শ্রী অভিনব গুপ্ত।
This is the sloka. ট্রান্সলেশন কিছু আছে? আমার কাছে একটা ট্রান্সলেশন আছে, দাঁড়া দেখি।
মোবাইল থেকে পড়া খুব অসুবিধা।
খুব অসুবিধা। তাহলেও একজন জিজ্ঞেস করছে, দাঁড়া দেখি। টেক্সট দাঁড়া, পেয়েছি মনে হচ্ছে। Shloka 7th, chapter 1. Me Machanda. See, Abhinava Gupta has also used a Apabhrangsha language, which is the character of Nalanda and Vikramshila. Texts. It is that modern scholars have called it Sanskrit hybrid. This is saying glory, me Machanda. Not Matchandra, but Machanda. It is a Apabhramsa word. The omnipresent, be favorable to me. He who repulsed the vast and multi-form glowing net of Maya, its assembly of knots and holes spread out everywhere. Then he said, glory to the 8th sloka. Glory to the first masters, shining like precious pearls in the river of spiritual tradition, to which Urayambaka gave his name, unfailing pilots who guide us in the moving waves of the ocean of masterful treaties. 9th speaks of Srikantanatha, Maheshwaranatha, and Bhutiraja, which is Bhartrihari. Then speaks of Utpaladeva and Somananda. Then speaks of Lakshmana Gupta. Then speaks of Chakulaka. Then in the 13th sloka says, glory to Shambhunatha, unique being, who accompanied by his beloved was so accomplished in escaping the world as impenetrable as is the way of Shaivite scriptures. The rays of his teachings nevertheless illuminated the path for me. Then in 16th, he is again speaking of him as Abhinavagupta is teaching this doctrine. He who radiates the knowledge born from worship, destroying the poison, enveloping the bonds of unconsciousness, he offers it to the succession of masters and to the start at the lotus feet of Bhattanatha and those of his consort Bhattarika. So now the citation of the text has been done, so that remains no question about it, that there was one called Shambhunatha, who was the Lord of the total generation, that he said. He is the ultimate Bhattaraka, Bhattanatha.
21 নম্বর শ্লোকটাও আছে
বল
শম্ভুনাথ, 21 নম্বর শ্লোকটা।
দাঁড়া, আমি তো আর কেটে দিলাম। 21 নম্বর শ্লোক কি বলছে? ও সংস্কৃতে আছে, দাঁড়া 21 নম্বর শ্লোক ট্রান্সলেশনটা বলছি। এই ট্রান্সলেশনটা খুব ভালো নয়, তাহলে চলে আর কি। To worship Lord Shubha, study this lotus of the heart of Abhinavagupta that bloomed in the splendor emanating from the luminous foot of Lord Shambhu.
Shambhunatha Bhaskara.
Shambhunathasya Charana Padda, because it was something like that, na?
Shri Shambhunatha Bhaskara Charana Nipata Prabha Pagada Sankocham Abhinavagupta Hridambuja Metadvi Chinuta Mahesha Pujana Hetuhu.
So, see, the reference of Shambhunath is this. I do not know Sandalses. I have heard some people nowadays claiming that Gorakhnath and Babaji Maharaj are the same thing. These are all fictitious to me. I don't know. What I don't know, I don't speak about. I respect Babaji Maharaj as Babaji Maharaj. Until and unless I know that Babaji Maharaj is Gorakhnath, any text shows it, or Babaji Maharaj declares it, I'm not going to listen to people's opinions. Then they have to present the research with proof. Like I don't also want
that
I say
he comes from Agastya Muni's lineage, and he was like 2200 years back. So I don't think like he was Gorakhnath. So that's like made up stories.
See, the trouble is, I'm telling you, some 30 years back, these theories were not there. It was only from Bengal school of Kriya Yogis, Babaji Maharaj was known. Then in South India, they made a fictitious cinema showing Babaji Maharaj in it. From there, Babaji Maharaj became very important, and people started, in no time, in 20 years, they have made stories about Babaji Maharaj born in South India, lived in South India, wrote texts. Even his ashram has been found fictitious. Where were they all this time? And I have also cross-examined some of these people who write books on Babaji Maharaj from South India. They could not answer my questions. They are all fumbled when I asked straight away. So I don't know. What I don't know, I will not comment. He was Jogiraj Shamacharan Lahiri has said in his time he was 1200 years old. No, not 1200. He's many years old. He didn't mention years. I think one of the Kriya Yogis, because I was associated with them also, said he is 1200 years old. I think it was said by Hariharanandaji, but they are all not in their body. So if you really want authentic version, write to Yogananda Paramahamsa's ashram and say, is there any proof that Babaji Maharaj is Gorakhnath or Babaji Maharaj lived 2200 years? They will answer you what has been documented by Jogiraj Shamacharan Lahiri, by Yukteswar Giri, by Yogananda Paramahamsa, because all three of them has met Babaji Maharaj in the Kumbh Mela in Haridwar. They have said that. They have announced it. There are books on that also. Authentic books. Bengali books, because it's on the Bengali lineage. So all these stories now come up. I'm confused. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, then for everybody. Shambhu Adesh, Aghor Adesh, Avadhut Adesh, Alakhani Ranjan, Boom, 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 Har Har Mahakal. Jai Guru, Jai Ma, Nitai, Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol.